So now we get to the details a little bit here, because mostly the top portion is roughed out. And in order to get to the details, basically just outline it with your blade the same way. Just push in, make sure you're not in a position where you could cut yourself, you're not in the path, your fingers aren't in the path of the blade. Push in, remove. You see I've outlined this area where the ear would be. Push in and remove. Again, the head will not be this wide, so this is just for reference sake here. And all you do is push in at each time and remove from the other side. Again, I'm just using this hand to guide the blade. This hand does most of the work, and it's really just the thumb doing the work. Whereas when I make this type of cut, this part of my hand is doing all the work, just my fingers here. Now, in order to get to this detail area here, what I would do is I just outline it. Again, this is not the way you would do it. Either rest it onto a surface so that if you do slip, you're not cutting yourself. I'm just showing you so it's closer, you see what's happening. So I'm just guiding the blade where I want the ear to fall. And basically all you do is just to remove that area. Again, using the knife mark that you made initially as your guide for that part. And you see that I remove that so that you have that detail now. So if I want to get to the foot, same thing. Knife guides it. Fingers are away from the blade every time. And again, so then I tilt it where just the edge gets into that area. So if you see that, just the edge of my blade gets in. And that knife mark acts as a stop so that I don't cut this away, because that I need. So if I were to turn it, and just follow it. So you'll get used to it. If it's your first time carving, you'll get used to this the more you practice. So go slow. I may be moving a little bit faster because I'm used to it, but in the end you should go slow. You see now we have a detail of the ear and a little bit of the foot. You need to continue carving the back because we know it's going to be rounded. So just round it out. And it's just small increments at a time, and you eventually get to where you want it to be. You see that is starting to take shape. So now I'm going to start rounding out the head. And I'm just going to draw a little circle here to what I think is a good size for the face. doesn't have to be exact. I'm just going to follow it along as I carve. And I'm going to replicate that up top here, what I think a rabbit head looks like. I'm not really using a photo, or just making it up as I go along. So let's say that's it. And here are the ears. That will jet out there. So now what we're going to do is remove all this and round it out to create the head. And here we go. You want to cut larger chunks because I'm using a detail knife. I'm just using one knife for this entire process. It has a very sharp point in the front and it gets wider as it goes into the back. So this area I use for detail work, and this area I use for the roughing out pieces or taking big chunks out. So if you want to take a little bit off, you just tighten your grip to the front end of the knife, and you see you could easily remove small chunks there that way. If I want to take a large chunk off, I work with the back end of my knife because it's more stout. It'll just be easier for you to remove, whereas doing this, you'll really only remove small pieces. Even if you try hard, it's also more dangerous. So with larger chunks, so if you want to take a little bit off, you just tighten your grip to the front end of the knife, and you see you could easily remove small chunks there that way. If I want to take a large chunk off, I work with the back end of my knife because it's more stout. It'll just be easier for you to remove, whereas doing this, you'll really only remove small pieces. Even if you try hard, it's also more dangerous. So with larger chunks, you want to use the back end of your knife. So now I'm choking up on the blade here. Again, this is where the position of the hand position is here. My finger is not touching this portion at all. And basically you're just using the front end of your blade to do some detail work here, because using the larger portion of the blade kind of would not be possible in this particular area, because there's a lot here that would need to be removed, but there's also things in the way that you don't want to cut away from. So a little advanced technique is to actually carve in a U shape, kind of making a U channel or groove, and that's done by turning the knife as you cut. So if you see, it'll actually make a little channel in an area, and that you'll get by feeling as you're cutting. You see in here, you could push in and then turn your knife like that. So push in and turn your knife out. And I'm doing the same thing on the other side. So push in and turning up. I'll show you again. Push in and turn up. And here you go, a little bunny carved with one knife, piece of wood, one knife, pencil. That's all you need. You have, of course, the option to sand it, refine the details with maybe a V gouge or something else just to make it a little bit easier. That's all there is to it.